So hopefully we all made it here. Just before I continue, I just want to show you something about how we introduce these tools that we're going to use. So you can see over week 1 of Git HTML and CSS that we start bringing in the command line. So think of the command line as terminal. That's a tool that we have on the Mac. I'll show you how to access that soon. And then it introduces Atom, and then it introduces GitHub. Now, if we just go through and set these up, it's just going to be a lot quicker. So I've set up a page on the Code with Grace website. So if you go to codewithgrace.com/setup, click on that, providing the internet works, perfect. So here we have a full Mac setup. So just an outline of what you need. So the command line is obviously your terminal. Your text editor, again, your Microsoft Word of coding. That's how you write files, like code files for websites and to upload to the internet, essentially. Your Git and GitHub accounts. So you get your version control system, and then its online equivalent, and then your configurations. There are a few things that we do to make Git more efficient for us through the Epicodus course. So if you click on each of these, it should just link straight to, I've linked them all straight to the various sections that they relate to within the course, just if you need a little bit more background, but we'll go through and set them up. So command line is the first one. On a MacBook, if you just go up to this little icon up here, this search icon, and type in terminal. Yeah, perfect. So terminal comes up straight away. What I like to do is I just drag it onto my bar down here, so I have a shortcut to it all the time. I've already got it here. But if you literally just drag that down, you can keep it and it's handy and you know where to find your terminal at all times. But if you get lost, again, just go up to that search icon, look for terminal. And that's literally all we have to do. Thankfully, Apple was really good with that, whereas Windows users have to actually download a secondary tool, which is awesome. The next thing is the text editor, which is Atom. So if we just go to the link I've put in there. So the first thing it tells you to do is go to the Atom website. So go to Atom by clicking that link, and you literally just click download. I'm not going to do it because I've already got Atom installed. And this is Atom down here. This is what it will look like. I'm just going to put that beside my terminal. Literally follow the instructions. It will install itself and do everything, but just let it happen, essentially. A really good function of this Epicodus course is the cheat sheets. They're a really good overview of everything that they're trying to cover. And you can see here there's another link to the website. And there's also a little bit of documentation about what Atom is if you need a little bit extra. The next thing we have to do is Git and GitHub. And this is the complex part. It's a little bit difficult, but once you've done the hard work, you never have to do it again. So again, it just explains a little bit of about what Git is as a version control system. Each time we essentially save our work, so usually you go file, save, write, blah, 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 write a name. We call that a commit, and that's committed to the Git. Now, Git is like a hidden file that will be within your website project files. Don't worry about that too much right now. Just get your head around the fact that it is a version control system, because with code, we make lots and lots and lots of changes, more than you're used to with like a Word document or something similar. So we need something powerful to be able to control each of those versions. So hence version control system. Again, GitHub is its online equivalent, so that you have access to all these tracking files as it's happening. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through setting up Git locally on your computer, and then we're going to set up GitHub, and then we're going to make them talk to each other. So that's really, really important. So to install Git on Macs, we open our terminal, just like that. Mine looks like this. Just a note to self, I wouldn't copy and paste things. I'm about to do it here, but from now on, after we've installed Git and GitHub, do not paste things. Please do not copy and paste things. It will hinder your learning and you won't absorb enough of the content. So just for this, we're going to copy and paste things. So bring your terminal up. See how there's a $sign there? In the Epicodus course, they show it with a $sign. On a Mac, you don't need to copy and paste another $sign. So we're only going to copy and paste from the start of the command. So ignore the $sign, basically. So I'm just going to right click, copy, and I'm just going to paste it in there. You would press enter. I'm not going to because I already have it on my computer. It will start running things. Generally on these installs, if it says nothing, if it just ends and you come back to, let me just get rid of this. If it ends and you come back to just a blank screen like this or an open command line with a little $sign, that just means it's done what it's done. If it says nothing to you, it's generally a really good thing. So don't be scared if the command line or terminal, as we like to call it, comes back and says nothing to you. It's totally fine. Because Apple computers don't have certain things, we have to install something what's called Homebrew. It's a package manager. You don't need to know much more than that. But this is what that command is doing. If this command doesn't work, you may need to navigate to the Homebrew website. Sometimes these links go out of date really quickly because everything on the internet moves really fast. So you generally might need to navigate away from Epicodus to get the most up-to-date link. And thankfully they've put a link here. So if this command line, command doesn't work, go to Homebrew. It'll open in a new tab. And here we have the same command. You notice it hasn't got the $sign. And you just literally pick that up, right click, copy, and you paste it into your terminal. Getting it from the Homebrew website is probably a lot more current. Just sometimes links go out of date. Like people don't update the websites. There's a little bit about what Homebrew does, but if you don't know much about computers, I wouldn't try and understand too much. But it just helps Git to communicate with Apple computers. That's all Homebrew does. So we go through that, literally just follow the instructions, copy and paste that into your terminal. Do it again with the next one once that's finished, and again with this one, and you're done. That's it. And now we want to create a GitHub account. So you want to go to github.com. So that's github.com, and you want to sign up. That's literally it. Pick a username. I think mine's something crazy like Crazy Cat Lady. Doesn't matter what your username is. Put in your email address, put in a password. You have a GitHub account. That's how easy it is. Let me just navigate back here. So that's all you have to do for that section with Git and GitHub. Now we configure Git, and this is the next part where it's a little bit difficult, but thankfully we've done a little bit of work with terminal, so it should be a little bit easier. Again, we just want to run these commands. Please just follow it in chronological order, go through it one by one, and make sure you're picking up everything. I've installed a lot of these things, so it would be pointless for me to put them into my terminal because it will just confuse you with all these failed prompts. But these are just configuring a few things about aesthetic things like colors, making Atom your default text editor. Atom is one of many text editors on the internet. So for the purposes of Epicodus, we use Atom, but there's other things that I use called Brackets. That's another text editor that's really good for like design work and code, whereas Atom's more like geared towards real heavy code that needs a lot of power. Whereas my one that I use is more for like visual things, like coding behind, say, an online magazine. Whereas coding with Atom, you can build really, really sophisticated things. So just keep that in mind, that why they're saying make Atom the default editor is because you might have other things later on, like brackets or another text editor. But that's kind of why they're saying that to you. We want to do a few like git ignore things. These just help Git run a little bit more efficiently. I don't want to sort of bore you with too much about why we have to do certain things here. That will become apparent as you move through the course. Just go through the motions at the moment and keep progressing. Just follow the instructions. It gives a little bit more of an intro into some of the terminal commands. So cd takes you back to your home directory, or navigates to a directory rather. So if you type in cd and, for instance, desktop, my terminal will take me to access my desktop here. And so what cd plus the squiggly line is doing is it's taking you right to your home directory. So if we go cd squiggly line, I'm back where I was at the beginning. See that squiggly line there? We can identify it with that command. So it's just taking you through a little bit about the commands. Again, on the setup page on the Code with Grace website, so codewithgrace.com/setup, you'll see a few of the useful commands here and like what they mean and what their significance is. And you can see here cd with a squiggly line, change the current directory to the home directory. So yeah, it just makes it a little bit easier if you want to know what one of these commands actually means. So if we go back to the configurations, we want to git ignore, git global. Again, there's always like a terminal command and then what it wants you to do or where it wants you to go. So again, touch, you could go and see what that means over here. Touch, new file, touch creates a new empty file in the current working directory unless otherwise specified. So again, you can follow along and know that they're creating a file, and then they're asking Atom to ignore this certain thing. Again, I'm just explaining to you so you're not like, what am I actually doing here? Follow these, get right to the end, again typing those commands in, and you should be sorted after that. We might have a bit of a connection with setting up a Git project, but again, like I just want you to go through the motions in the same way. Don't get too hung up on things at the moment. This is a lot of infrastructure stuff that once it's done forever. And once you have it installed, as we go through the course, a lot of what you've done right now will start making sense. Whereas if I try to explain it to you all right now, you'd probably like be really overwhelmed. So just don't worry too much. Please ignore everything that says pair programming. This is just for Epicodus, it's not for us. So anything that says pair programming, just ignore it. But that's the majority of your setup. Epicodus is going to start going into a little bit more in-depth things now, but if we navigate back to the Intro to Programming evening, if it takes me back there, and week 1. So what we did is just all of this stuff. So it's the weekend things. Wednesday is when you really get it into starting your project, how to start a project, but what we did is just the stuff. So go through the motions, just follow it chronologically. Codewithgrace.com/setup just gives you those quick links to those places I was talking about for the infrastructure stuff that we need installed, but just don't stress yourself out too much with the overload of information. Just go through the motions, and if you don't get it, quickly ask us. But that's the gist of it. You need command line, which on Mac computers is called terminal. Again, overview, we go up to the little search icon and type terminal. Awesome. Drag it down, put it on your desktop so you have it. Likewise, once Atom's installed, if you just type Atom, your first result will be Atom. Again, drag that down, put it on your bar so you have it handy. And Git and GitHub. Git works in the background, and once you go into that first project, so this project here, about setting up a Git file, you'll learn a little bit more about how it behaves. It's kind of like having a hidden file, but it's just tracking everything. You don't actually have access to it, and again, that won't make a lot of sense until you get into the project, but just know it exists once we've gone through that install process, and it does exist on the computer, and you can access it when you need to for the course. But as you progress, you'll understand a little bit more about how powerful Git and GitHub are. I've put a link here to a few setup videos. This is the Git Ninja I was talking about. So he's actually called the Net Ninja, and he does some really, really, really great GitHub tutorials. So if we go to Net Ninja, GitHub, I'll put a link to this, but I just haven't got it handy right now. This one, perfect. Just go to playlists. And if we go to GitHub tutorial for beginners, again, I'll put a link to this, but Git and GitHub tutorial is going to be invaluable for you. So go through the Git and GitHub tutorial first. I would recommend doing that before you dive into Wednesday. If you're feeling confident, I mean, go for it. But if you're not so confident, go through this tutorial first. It does so well to explain it. If you're not understanding too much, just absorb the information as it is, and then at a later time you'll start to understand a little bit more about what's going on. But that's about it for the setup. I hope you guys are feeling enthusiastic about the course. Head to codewithgrace.com/setup for that information, but that's about it from me. Look forward to seeing you on Hangouts on Thursday. I'll catch you.